Ahoy there, YouTube. It's a bit of a rainy day, chilly day too. That's why I got the jacket on. But I'm going to be working on Spud today. So today I'm going to be knocking out a little bit of engine work. Nothing super serious. Doing a little bit of a fast forward before I do a rewind. For reasons. Reason being is that if you never pulled a engine on one of these cars before, they're honestly super simple. There's really not a ton to them. Let's see if I can't get this right. Over here in the driver's side, there's a couple of different things for the wiring harness, a couple of connectors for the alternator, a couple of different switches on the side. These two run over the top of the motor, and then there is a clutch cable over here. This runs to the battery. There's a ground strap that runs along here to the side of the head, and then a ground strap that runs from over here to the side of the block. And then I think that's really it for harnesses. There's two different brackets that gotta come off the side of the engine. There's one over here. This one goes with the transmission. I ended up just pulling these two off from the top of here, and then I pulled these two from the top of the diff to get those off. So then there's two more over here. The other one is right there in the engine. Two manifold bolts. Gotta disconnect the heater core, and then there's 4 bolts on the transmission end, 2 for the starter, and then there's one over here that's just a tiny little like wiring loom bracket or something like that. And then that's really it. Super simple to do. Doesn't take a ton of time. Like I said, I was doing it myself. It took me about an hour and a half maybe to get it out in total. There's this little shock over here. This nut is supposed to come off the top, but mine's just spinning. I don't think the shock's really doing anything anymore, but I just pulled it off the bracket on the back side. And then there's 2 bolts for the engine mounts right here. And those are 17s, I think, and pretty much everything is 14, 12, and 10. So, comes out pretty easy. I think now is going to be a good time for me to change the rack and pinion bushings, but that's a problem for me behind Weber. Or that's if you're using a Weber carburetor. If you're not, you're going to have a ton of other vacuum lines, a ton of other stuff in the way, which my recommendation for that would be multicolored zip ties. When I pulled my engine out, I used zip ties like this right here, and I clipped a couple of colors together just to make sure the vacuum line stayed in place, and took a lot of pictures. There's a link on the forum that has a factory service manual. You can use that. That'll help you out. But and then the power steering pump, all I did was just disconnect it, and I slid it off to the side. So that's sitting over there. So yeah, that's really everything that's really on it. All these other brackets and accessories and everything like that can kind of just stay on the engine. And I'm planning on leaving them on here. So anyway, fast forward now to me pulling the engine out, and then the next video I'll be tearing this down. So been, we probably started on at like 6-ish. It's getting close to 8 right now. So it wasn't too bad, but we've been dicking around and doing some other stuff. But the engine is out. Alex is cleaning out some of my mud that I've collected from later. As you can see, there's probably quite a bit because, you know, wheeling. Oops. But anyway, she's out, ready to drop her on the engine stand, and then probably gonna go ahead and maybe split her apart probably tomorrow. It's almost 8 o'clock right now. It's getting. But what my plan is, or the reason why I pulled it out, I should say, is I got a little bit of a leak on it. It's got a front crank seal that's been leaking for quite a while. It's been leaking pretty much since shortly after I rebuilt the engine. I think within like 6 months it started leaking, and I have not taken care of it. And also, when I rebuilt the engine on it, I poked a hole in the oil pan unintentionally, so I thought it was the oil pan that was leaking, so I tightened up all the bolts really tight, and then, well, it turns out that wasn't the problem. It was the hole that I put in with a wire wheel. But, oops, lesson learned the hard way, or the dumb way. And anyway, one of the other big reasons actually why I initially planned this weekend of doing this is if you guys follow me on Instagram, you saw I posted some pictures in the Upper Peninsula. I went on a huge road trip, drove like another 1,500 miles or something like that. So, but when I came home, I was pulling off the highway to go drop my friend off who lives about 20, 30 minutes north of me, and the oil light flickered on when I was idling at the intersection with the red light. I got a little nervous, so I pulled off the road, checked it, and it was about halfway down the dipstick. Not a huge deal. I topped it off, and it kept happening. So I freaked out a little bit, thought my oil pump was going bad because I did not change it when I rebuilt this before the first Lemons rally a few years ago, and or replaced the oil pump, I should say, sorry. So I thought the oil pump was going bad, but when I hooked a pressure tester up to it, it had 68 PSI, which is just a hair under spec, but I was running 1540 oil, so that maybe be a partial chance as to why it was so high, but either way, I just figured screw it. It needs a new crank seal, I might as well replace it, and I might as well just go through everything while I'm in here. It's been a really good car, and I've ran it really hard the last, 3 years, so it'd be a good time to give everything a quick refresh, check it over, check out what's doing underneath it, change the valve stem seal, change the head gasket, just do the whole 9 yards. I'm gonna wrap it up for us tonight, or for this video, I should say. I will head back tomorrow. I'll get this thing split apart. Hopefully it'll look okay. Doubt I'm gonna find anything super crazy, but I have driven it hard a lot of miles recently, so I'll go ahead and I'll get the oil pan off it. We'll check the inside and see how it looks. And if it's not good, I have another engine over there and then another one over there that look pretty good. So I ain't worried about it. It should be good. So anyway, stay tuned and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Thanks a ton for watching. See you later.